Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be looking at ways to counter the 6 new Buffy brawlers. If you guys didn't know, the new Buffy brawlers are pretty much the best brawlers inside of the game right now. Everybody is raging at them, so I'm going to give you guys the best brawlers, the best ways to counter these Buffy brawlers, even though they're completely broken right now. Even if they get nerfed, I still anticipate them being pretty strong, so this will be a useful video in the future as well. So the best way, of course, to counter these brawlers is by getting your credit card out, typing code SPEN in the shop, and buying every single Buffy, okay? If you can't beat them, you join them. No, okay, serious. Most of the time, you probably need a Buffy brawler to face off against them right now. But let's jump into the first one, Spike. So Spike, you think of Spike, right? He's still on the squishiest side. I know he's been receiving health buffs some time ago and with a recent health buff as well. But you think the best way to counter him, normally it is a brawler like Carl. So Carl's really good into Spike because with Carl you can pierce through his life plan. You can wall peek Spike pretty well. You've got a decent amount of health as well with Carl. You can most of the time keep out of his curveball. Well, you can juke curveball and then keep out of his range, if that makes sense, right? He's just really good in that 1 versus 1 situation against Spike. And then you've also got any type of thrower is pretty good into Spike because Spike is pretty squishy. Spike has no way to really, I mean, curveball can kind of clip around walls, but most of the time, you know, like a Sprout, like a Juju or something like that, should be pretty easy to take down a Spike. You've also got Squeak and Brock. So Squeak is just good into Spike. Again, Squeak likes it when brawlers are pretty squishy, and you play Spike on a lot of game modes where normally you see a Squeak, so like Hot Zone, Gem Grab, Brawl. You see a lot of Squeak there, you see a lot of Spike there, and then Brock as well. So Brock, I mean, Spike you're seeing literally in Bounty and Knockout right now, and Brock is an easy counter to Spike. You can outrange a Spike, you can 2-3 tap Spike pretty easily, and even on like longer range maps you can pull out a Brock and counter Spike pretty easily as well. So most of the time the best way to counter Spike is learning the curveball juke system. Don't get too close to him as well because his gadget just completely deletes you, and try and stay away from single shot brawler. I mean, snipers typically counter Spike, but at the same time, life plant being throwable right now, it makes it a pain for brawlers like Pierce and Piper to deal with a Spike. So yeah, just go these brawlers. So now we're going to be looking at ways to counter Frank. So Frank right now, it's kind of tough to counter him because he's even usable on the most open maps. So the first kind of suggestion, I see a lot of Frank compositions with like Byron or a healer. What you want to be doing most of the time when they're like pocket healing this Frank, you want to focus on the actual healer if you can, if possible, because the healer won't be expecting it. They think you're just going to focus the attention on the Frank. Well, that's just a big distraction. If you're removing the support away from the tank, you might be able to kill him a little bit easier. So that's my suggestion. A lot of times, say if I'm on Knockout and facing a Byron Frank, choose composition. I'm running Piper or Mandy. Try and get the Byron when he's least expecting it. The best counter by far is Primo, so that's why I recommend it. I don't think Primo's a crazy brawler by any means, but in Brawl in particular, Primo does have a good use case there. Against a Frank, you can just blindly go into Frank with Primo and win most of the time. You've also got Lou. Lou's good into Frank because you think of Frank, right? He's got to stand still whilst attacking. That just allows Lou to auto-aim him like crazy and just delete him. So really good for a brawler like Lou. You've also got B. If Frank opens up the map, then B is normally paired well with Frank, so you can also use it against Frank. Frank, again, once his map is open, you should be able to defeat him most of the time because he likes it behind walls most of the time because he is a tank at the end of the day with limited range. And then you've also got Shelly and Bull. So Bull, again, up close and personal, you should be able to kill a Frank pretty easily. And then you've got his super to interrupt Frank's super. Same goes with Shelly as well. A lot of people actually use fast forward instead of clay pigeons into Frank so that Shelly can dash out of Frank's super range, or you can dash closer to Frank and get more ammo and tank a shot there. So yeah, a lot of brawlers that you can use to counter Frank, but at the end of the day, he has a lot of health, so you've got to be very wary of him, especially with his gadget. So trying to bait out his gadget, it's got a long cooldown as well. Once you know that he's wasted his gadget, you're more safe and you're more able to take him down. Brawler we're looking to counter is Shelly. So Shelly is very, I won't say underrated, but going under the radar because people focus on like Mortis, Spike, etc. And Shelly gets left open a lot in ranks and can be very toxic. So there isn't many ways to deal with Shelly's clay pigeons and how to really counter it. I mean, maybe you've got some like gadgets that can tank for it, but at the end of the day, probably what you want to be doing to avoid that is staying behind walls, staying out the range. It's got a big range, but also staying close to your teammates. So if you do get slowed by that clay pigeons, that they're able to at least try and trade out that kill. Yeah, that's probably the best way, because that Shelly clay pigeon slow is just so toxic. The best counter is normally a brawler like Nita. Nita's good into Shelly just because it will take Shelly like 4, 5, maybe even 6 pieces of ammo to try and destroy Bruce's bear. And you normally play Nita on maps where Shelly's good on. I mean, you're not going to play Nita into Shelly on like Knockout or Bounty, but Gem Grab, Brawl, Hot Zone, I've been having decent success rate countering a Shelly with a Nita, always have done. Stu as well is a decent counter to Shelly, mainly just because it's Stu. I mean, Stu's not the greatest brawler in the meta right now, so I'll probably stay away from going to Stu most of the time, but I've just got to point it out because at least he can juke in and out of Shelly's clay pigeons. And then you've also got Meeple as well. Meeple's pretty good into Shelly. I know Shelly's a bit faster for Meeple, but again, you play Meeple a lot on where Shelly's normally played on, like again, Brawl, Gem Grab, and Hot Zone in particular. Tara's can be pretty good into Shelly. I don't really think right now that Tara is completely the best counter, but in previous iterations of Shelly, Tara will be able to win that matchup easily. And then you've got Ruff. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend some of these brawlers like Stu and Tara too much in this meta because they're not exactly the best brawlers right now. But Ruff is very good into Shelly. You got the sandbags. You can open up the map as well. Shelly, yeah, Shelly just really like it when you open up the map because she's got very limited range. So Ruffs can be pretty good for that reason. So now I'm moving on to the best ways to counter Ems. So Ems right now is one of the most frustrating brawlers to face off in Brawl Stars history because of that hype star power Buffie. So the first one I'd recommend is just try and ban her as often as possible, especially on those bushier maps. But at the same time, you don't need to ban her on maps like New Horizons or maps that have, well, just a lot of open area, because there are ways to counter Ems. So literally the only way to counter Ems is just literally the map. She's not able to just play everywhere because she's got very limited range. She's got no way to close the gap, right? So by far the best counter to Ems is the map or wall breaks. So again, I've seen people go Ems on like New Horizons or like dueling beetles or a few other instances where, you know, if you first pick Ems, you can get countered because the enemy could run like a Brock or run a Colt with Silver Bullet, could run a Griff, something to break open the map, and then Ems can struggle. But the problem is here is that you're relying off your teammates as well. What you got to do is just constantly pinch the Ems down and not feed her a super. You've got to always keep out of her range, which can be pretty difficult and does require some good teammates, some good pinching and a good aim. So at high level, yeah, I have been countered a few times with Ems, as you can see in the gameplay, because I just can't get close enough to people because of the wall breaks. Same goes with like Ruffs can be a good counter to Ems, literally because you can at least stay out of Ems's range with Ruffs, and then you can open up the map. So I'm just thinking of like, yeah, Ems you use on Brawl, Gem Grab, Hot Zone, Ruffs you use in the same game modes as well. You can open up map with super with Ruffs, so yeah, it can be a decent counter. I'm not saying you can just kill her every single time. Brock as well and Colt, like I mentioned. So yeah, literally just look for wall break. It's probably the best way because assassins no longer counter Ems. I mean, throwers can technically counter Ems, but she's got a lot of health, so it's not really, yeah, I just prefer the wall break strategy. So now moving on to Mortis, and Mortis is one of the most frustrating brawlers of all time. Again, with these buffies, he's got an ability that you can throw it through walls and deals 3k damage or plus, which is just insane to me. Charges a super as well. So your normal tank counters or Mortis counters don't always counter him because of that gadget. Simple enough. So I don't think there's really out and out a brawler that completely destroys Mortis because of how broken he is. But Otis is a good start. He is a little bit prone to that combo spinner. You gotta still be wary of that because he can still delete you pretty quickly. But Otis most of the time should be able to shut down a Mortis. Same goes with Shelly as well. It's another Buffy brawler, but Shelly, of course, like Shelly Ball, these are the brawlers that always counter Mortis. Buzz is a good one, very off meta, but Buzz, when you use, I think it's Tougher Torpedo, the one that stuns for an extra 0.5 seconds, Mortis can't do anything against that, literally anything against Buzz. So yeah, even with how broken Mortis is, I always go Buzz into a Mortis if I can. If I got a late pick, it is a very, very good option. And then lastly, Ems. So it's funny that Mortis used to just completely clap Ems. Now Ems is a great counter to Mortis. Reason being is because of hype and the pushback. It can literally delete Mortis quicker than he can do anything. And then the hype charge pushback as well completely shreds Mortis. And moving on to the final Buffy brawler we're looking to counter, it is Colt. So Colt is getting better and better in the meta as the weeks go on, and that's thanks to his speed loader gadget. It's a very, very toxic gadget, and it makes him counter assassins, funny enough, and tanks. So yeah, I've seen a comment, it actually resembled Colt pretty much. He's kind of like Griff in a sense, like it just deals purely so much damage. Anyone gets close, they get shredded. But yeah, Colt is countered by brawlers like Angelo. I think snipers are still the best way to counter a Colt, and I think Angelo's the best one, mainly because with Angelo you're not really getting, like, you're not getting countered too much by speed loader. You know, removing an ammo off Angelo's not going to do a lot. You can jump away as well if needed. You can still two-shot a Colt with Angelo. So yeah, I really like using Angelo into Colt, because you use Colt normally in like heists and other game modes, but you know, bouncy, knockout, heist, Angelo's the best counter to a Colt. Bell as well I really like into Colt, mainly because as well, you know, if you're facing off against speed loader Colt and the speed style power Colt, of course, called some slick boots, that's it. With Bell, you've got the traps, right? So it makes it a little bit easier to try and take down a Colt. I won't say, again, you completely counter a Colt as a Bell, but a good Bell should be able to at least deal with a Colt in this type of meta. And the same goes with Gus as well. So you're just looking for other snipers, but at the same time, I am struggling just because of how broken speed loader is. Once that gets nerfed, yeah, go back to snipers to counter Colt. But it's pretty hard to deal with him, honestly. Like, I'm even having success a lot of the time dealing with snipers just through the speed loader. You know, I use my slick boots, I auto aim with speed loader, I run into their face, get loads of speed from hitting people with my bullets. Yeah, it's crazy. Buffy's right now absolutely insane, so I'm just trying to help you guys counter them. Most of the time you just want to ban them, but you know, because there's 6 of them, a lot of them will sneak through the ban stage and ranked, and most of these brawlers should be good enough to counter them for now. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section below what videos you want me to do until there's a maintenance break. I'm kind of just stuck right now and just flat out just kind of, I don't know, exhausted through this meta and the broken things. So yeah, if you want me to do any particular video whilst we wait for that balance change, let me know. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.